All right, I believe we're recording and good to go here. Getting started with PowerCLI. That's kind of our topic here today. And if you're here, you are expecting to get some strategies in order to help you, help your colleagues move forward with gaining confidence, using PowerCLI and using PowerCLI in order to manage and maintain your vSphere environment like a pro. That's according to what I put in the description. So everybody here for that? Anybody here for something else? I hope not. Quick introduction, I am Seth Crosby. I'm an Anchorage vMug leader. There's two of us, and we've just rebooted that group. I'm a solutions engineer for GCSIT. My first day on the job is today, so I've transitioned from another VAR over to GCSIT. You can see me on my blog and on Twitter in the places there. What is PowerCLI? Let's talk about this first. PowerCLI is a framework, and ignore the transition there. PowerCLI is a framework. It is a framework for management and automation. I've chosen these words very carefully, and it is for management and automation of primarily a vSphere environment. There's more that you can manage than just that, but it is, again, a power... Okay, let me back up. I apologize. PowerShell is a framework for managing your infrastructure. PowerCLI is a module within that. PowerShell gives you a command line and it gives you a scripting language. And so what PowerCLI, and the reason I'm going through this is that PowerCLI is simply a module on top of PowerShell, and it's really important to understand that. As a module on top of PowerShell, it's not a standalone product. It's not something that you go and you install as though it's some big installable. It's simply a part of PowerShell. With PowerShell Core, you can now get PowerCLI as that installable module on Linux. You can get it on Mac OS. There's sessions here at VMworld about that. There's a session tomorrow, Tuesday at 2 p.m. that I'm giving with Kyle Ruddy on getting a deeper level of getting started with PowerCLI. So take a look at that session if you're at all interested in that. The goal of PowerCLI, what does PowerCLI do for you? It provides the same functionality. The goal is to provide the same functionality as the user interface, but to do it in a scriptable and a highly detailed, like laser precision kind of a way. These are my words. This is not VMware billing. It's not perfect, but it's excellent for vSphere. It's excellent for a few of the other products. It's not so good for some of the other products, but it is a work in progress. They're building that up very quickly. So let's dive in. Let's talk about what PowerCLI does for us. Why would you use PowerCLI? You would use PowerCLI because it forces us to think clearly and to work efficiently. You know, the tools that we use condition the way that we work. And how many of us as administrators have found ourselves or seen someone else who is using the click, hunt, click, now what am I doing next, hunt, click approach. PowerCLI forces us to think carefully about what it is we're trying to accomplish, and it's advantageous for that reason. PowerCLI also lets us repeat processes with efficiency and with confidence. Related to that, it allows you to scale across your whole workload. If you're in the web UI of vSphere, it will take you time to look at all your snapshots of all your VMs. What you can do is you can loop all of your VMs into a single, you might call it an object within PowerCLI, and you can say, show me all my snapshots, as opposed to having to go from one to the next to the next. So efficiency, scaling across the whole environment are both connected. PowerCLI also helps you document your work as you work. Wednesday, there's going to be a very interesting session. I have no insight into this, but I'm excited about it. Tim Carman and Matthew Alford are going to be giving this session on documenting your virtual infrastructure. I'd encourage you to go there if you have any interest at all. Ways to get started. 5 simple points here. Find someone to share and mentor. Is that 5 minutes? Find someone to share and mentor. My kids saw this picture and they said, Dad, you look funny in this picture. I just shook my head. But find somebody that you can work with, whether they're in a Stars and Stripes sweater or not, and work with them, share your knowledge, use it as that kind of iron sharpening iron kind of an approach. You'll find that helps. Use the hands-on labs. There's one hands-on lab that I want to call your attention to and encourage you to take a picture of this, do whatever you need to. This is a hands-on lab that was just rewritten for PowerCLI 10.1, which is only a minor bump back from the current version. They just released 10.2. This newly rewritten hands-on lab will take you through the entire, introduction of how to set up, how to use PowerCLI. The other thing that is important to note about that hands-on labs is that you can go into most of the hands-on labs and you can run PowerShell. So you can run PowerShell, of course, because they're in Windows environments. You can run PowerCLI. PowerCLI allows you to poke away at things, break things, and you're doing it in a hands-on lab. You can do it in a completely safe way. There's other ways to do it safely too, but the VMT community forums are another resource that you want to be aware of. Ask your questions there. You'll be shocked at the detail of response that you'll get if you ask good questions on the VMTN community forums. It's not instant, but you'll also be surprised sometimes at how quickly you'll get a response. For quicker responses on simple questions, look at the Slack channel, the PowerCLI channel within the Slack, what do they call it, a workspace for VMware code. That's free to sign up for, and it's worth your time. Vmworld Sessions. I mentioned the one. There's another session coming up on, I guess I've mentioned two. There's another session coming up on Wednesday morning. And Wednesday morning, it's a deeper dive on PowerCLI. Luke Deakins, Kyle Ruddy are doing it, and I'm excited. It should be compelling. Final thing, dive in. Start using it. And I've got a few things to share here. Choose some basic workflows in order to get yourself at the keyboard, thinking about what you want to do, and then trying the commands, okay? Don't necessarily try it in a live environment, unless a production environment, unless you know how to do that safely, and there's some easy ways to do that safely. Start with reporting. Start pulling reports and saying, okay, let's look at all of our snapshots. Come tomorrow at 2 p.m. if you want to see a demo on that. The other thing to do is repeat those workflows often. Try to set aside 15 minutes at the beginning of your day and say, all right, I'm gonna dig in, I'm going to use PowerCLI, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did yesterday, but then improve it just a little bit, 1 minute. Stop and think about what you need to do, and then look at what it's gonna take in the documentation, and then give it a try. I would encourage you to dive in, use it in that way. And if you say, well, I have no idea how to do that, jump over to the VMTN session, VMTN community forums, excuse me, and jump in there, see what kind of help you can get from somebody who's been doing this for years and years. PowerCLI has been out for many years. PowerShell's been around since 2006, right? And PowerCLI quickly followed in its early phases, and it's progressing very, very rapidly. That's all I have. Any questions? Anything that I can help clarify? We're done. Thank you. Excuse me?